In the heart of Philadelphia, behind tall gray stone walls that stretch toward the sky like the fingers of a forgotten god, stands one of America's darkest monuments to punishment, Eastern State Penitentiary. Built in 1829, this place wasn't just a prison, it was an experiment, a vision of solitude, silence, and redemption. But what began as an idea to reform the human soul soon descended into something far more sinister. The founders of Eastern State believed that solitude could lead to salvation. They called it the Pennsylvania system. Each inmate was locked away, alone, inside a small stone cell, no bigger than a stable. There were no sounds of other prisoners, no voices, no laughter, no cries, only silence and the echo of one's own thoughts. Meals were pushed through a narrow slot in the wall. The only light came from a small skylight high above, called the Eye of God. It was meant to remind prisoners that even here, in total isolation, God was watching. But isolation doesn't heal the mind, it fractures it. Days turned to weeks, weeks into years. Some prisoners began to whisper to themselves. Others screamed through the night. A few clawed at the stone walls until their fingers bled, trying to escape the silence that had already consumed their sanity. The experiment was supposed to bring repentance. Instead, it brought madness. By the mid-1800s, the world was watching. Writers like Charles Dickens visited and were horrified by what they saw. He described the prison as cruel and wrong, a place where the human spirit withers in eternal solitude. Yet, despite the criticism, the system continued for decades. The penitentiary grew. Its halls spread like veins, long corridors lined with iron doors, each one holding another forgotten soul. Inside these walls, some of America's most infamous criminals served time, including the legendary gangster Al Capone. He arrived in 1929, exactly 100 years after the prison's opening. But unlike most inmates, Capone's cell was different. He decorated it with fine rugs, a desk, and even a radio playing soft waltz music. Yet even he claimed that something haunted him here. Guards whispered that Capone would wake at night shouting at unseen visitors, apologizing to ghosts only he could see. He swore that the spirit of James Clark, one of the men killed in the St. Valentine's Day massacre, appeared to him night after night in this very cell. As decades passed, the prison grew more overcrowded. The strict silence rule faded, replaced by violence, riots, and desperation. The echoes of pain that once hid behind thick walls now roamed freely through the corridors. Guards spoke of footsteps when no one was there, keys jingling in the dark, whispers drifting through empty blocks long after lights out. Inmates told stories of shadowy figures walking the halls, of cold hands gripping their shoulders in the dark. One guard even claimed he saw a ghostly face appear inside cell block 12, its hollow eyes staring back at him before vanishing into the wall. By 1971, Eastern State Penitentiary was finally closed. Its walls cracked. Its cells fell silent once again. But this time, the silence was different. It was watching. Today, the prison stands as a museum, a frozen relic of America's dark obsession with punishment. Tourists walk through its crumbling corridors, flashlights cutting through the darkness. Some come for history. Others come for the hauntings. And the hauntings, they come for everyone. Visitors often report sudden chills, hearing faint cries or laughter echoing through the cell blocks. Cameras malfunction, batteries drain. A shadow flickers in the corner of an empty room, then disappears before the lens can focus. Paranormal investigators have called Eastern State one of the most haunted places in America. They've recorded whispers, footsteps, even screams echoing through the abandoned blocks. Some believe the spirits of tortured inmates still linger here, trapped between repentance and revenge. Cell Block 4 is said to be especially active. Visitors claim to hear the sound of cell doors clanging shut on their own. One woman swore she saw a full-bodied apparition standing at the end of the hallway, dressed in tattered prison clothes, staring directly at her before vanishing into thin air. Others speak of a figure that patrols the watchtower, a dark silhouette moving across the broken glass long after the building has closed for the night. Even seasoned security guards refuse to walk alone in certain parts of the prison after dark. They say the air changes, grows heavy, electric, as if the walls themselves are alive, remembering everything that ever happened within them. It's easy to believe the ghosts here aren't seeking revenge. They're just lost, trapped in an endless loop of solitude, reliving their suffering over and over. For more than 140 years, this place fed on isolation, fear, and regret. And even now, long after the last prisoner left, the energy refuses to fade. When you walk through Eastern State today, you can still feel it. That unsettling mix of history and horror. The whispers of those who begged for mercy, the echo of boots against the cold stone floor, the invisible eyes that follow you through every corridor. Some visitors describe it as a presence, others as a pressure in the air, a weight that grows heavier the deeper you go inside. You can almost hear the walls breathe, and if you listen closely enough, you might just hear a voice, soft, trembling, asking for forgiveness that never came. Eastern State Penitentiary isn't just a ruin, it's a memory, a monument to human cruelty and the ghosts it created. A place where silence became torture and punishment became eternal. So if you ever find yourself in Philadelphia and you feel brave enough to step inside, walk carefully, move slowly, and remember, you are never truly alone in Eastern State.